Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something I think is super important for English learners.
Yeah, what's that?
Confidence. Specifically, how to start speaking English with more confidence, especially if you're, just starting out.
Yeah, that initial hurdle. It's a big one for a lot of people.
Totally. We've looked at some great material from an English learning podcast, and it's packed with advice on moving past that nervousness and actually using the language.
Right, not just knowing it, but speaking it.
Exactly. So our mission here is to pull out some really practical, easy to follow tips, things you can actually do.
And maybe shift your perspective a bit too, make it feel less daunting.
Precisely. Empower you to speak more confidently, maybe even starting today. We'll dig into why confidence is such a game changer first.
Okay, yeah. Let's start there. Because it's fascinating how confidence is kind of the key, isn't it?
How so?
Well, you might have all this passive knowledge, right? Vocabulary, grammar rules, swimming around in your head. But without the confidence, it just stays there, locked up. The source we looked at really highlights this.
Yeah, and mentioned that lack of confidence leads to, hesitation.
That fear of making mistakes. We've all felt that.
Oh, definitely. And then you just end up avoiding conversations altogether.
Exactly. It's like having all the ingredients, but being too scared to actually cook.
That's a great way to put it. All that potential, just waiting. And confidence is what turns the stove on, basically.
Yeah. And the podcast emphasized that when you do feel more confident, you naturally speak more. It's simple logic, really.
And speaking more is how you improve faster. It makes total sense.
Plus, and this is a big plus, you actually start to, enjoy it more.
Right. It stops feeling like a chore and starts being kind of fun.
So it's crucial. Let's get into those practical tips then. How do you actually build it?
Okay. Tip number 1 from our source. This one's foundational. Start small and speak daily.
Right. The big idea here is that action comes before the feeling. You don't wait to feel confident to speak.
You speak to become confident. Is that it?
Pretty much. The act itself builds the confidence. Think about learning an instrument. You don't wait till you're a rock star to play. You start with scales.
Okay, good analogy.
Yeah.
So what's the scale for speaking?
The podcast suggests something really simple. Just speak to yourself.
To yourself? Out loud?
Yeah, for maybe just 2 minutes a day. Sounds a bit odd at first, maybe.
A little, maybe. But I see the point. No pressure, right?
Exactly. You just describe what you're doing. Simple stuff. I am brushing my teeth now. I am making coffee.
I'm walking to the bus stop, that kind of thing.
Perfect. It just gets your mouth moving, gets your brain connecting words in English without that anxiety of being judged.
Okay, makes sense. And they mentioned recording yourself too.
They did. And they acknowledged, it can feel awkward hearing your own voice at first. I think we can all relate to that.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But the value is huge for self-assessment. You hear your pronunciation, your pauses.
And you can track your progress over time, which must be motivating.
Exactly. Seeing improvement, even small improvements, is a massive confidence booster. It proves you are getting better.
And it ties into accepting mistakes, which the podcast stressed. They're not failures.
Not at all. Just part of the process. Necessary, even.
Okay. So, daily self-talk, maybe recording it. What's tip 2? It builds on this, right?
It does. Tip 2 is use mirror practice.
Talking to yourself in the mirror.
Yep. Standing right there, looking at yourself and talking.
What's the extra benefit of the mirror?
It adds a whole other layer. It's not just the words anymore. It's your body language.
Like facial expressions, eye contact.
Exactly. You become more aware of how you look when you speak. Do you lie hesitant? Do you look engaged?
I see. So seeing yourself looking more confident can actually make you feel more confident.
That's the idea. It builds that self-awareness. The source suggests practicing really basic stuff first.
Like what?
Simple greetings. Hi, how are you today? I'm doing well, thank you.
Seems almost too basic, but I guess it's about building comfort.
Totally. Just getting used to seeing and hearing yourself speak English. And a bonus tip was repeating common phrases or idioms.
Oh, interesting. Why idioms?
Well, focusing on the tone and the rhythm, trying to sound natural, not robotic.
Gotcha. So, daily practice, mirror work. What's next?
This leads really nicely into tip number 3. Learn useful phrases, not just words.
Okay, this sounds practical. What's the reasoning?
Well, think about it. Just knowing isolated words like go, store, buy, it's not super helpful in a real conversation, is it?
Not really, no. You have to assemble them on the fly.
Right. But if you learn the whole phrase like, I'm going to the store to buy some milk.
It's a ready-made chunk you can just use immediately.
Exactly. It's context, it's structure, all built in. The podcast argued this is way more practical for speaking. Your brain can recall chunks easier.
That makes sense. Less mental effort in the moment.
Definitely. And it helps you sound more natural, more fluent faster, which, guess what?
Boosts your confidence.
You got it.
Did they give examples of useful starter phrases?
Yeah, some really good ones. Things like, can I ask you something? Super useful.
Oh yeah, definitely need that one.
Or, I don't understand. Can you say that again? Essential for beginners.
Absolutely. And what do you mean?
Perfect. These phrases empower you to navigate conversations even if your vocabulary is still small.
So the key is practicing those until they're automatic.
Bingo. Repeat them until you don't even have to think about it.
Okay, phrases over words. Makes sense. Now, all this practice alone is great, but tip 4 takes it further, right?
It does. Tip 4 is find a speaking partner or language exchange.
Right. Moving from talking to yourself to talking to, well, actual other people.
Exactly, because no matter how much you practice alone, there's nothing quite like real interaction for building confidence.
So how do you find someone?
The source suggested things like language exchange apps. There are loads now. Or finding online conversation partners. Even just practicing with a friend who's also learning.
Study buddy, basically.
Yeah, someone you feel comfortable with, where it's okay to make mistakes. Because, again...
perfection is not the goal.
Exactly. Mistakes will happen. It's normal. The podcast pointed out that just doing it regularly helps your brain kind of relax about speaking.
Get less scared of speaking slowly or making errors.
That's the idea. The fear diminishes the more you expose yourself to it in a supportive way.
Okay, real interaction is key. What's tip 5? This one involves listening, I think.
It does. Tip 5, use podcasts, shadowing, and repetition.
Shadowing. Explain that one.
Shadowing is a really cool technique. Basically, you listen to a sentence or a short bit of audio.
Like from a podcast.
Perfect example. And then you immediately repeat it, trying to copy the speaker exactly.
Not just the words.
Nope. Everything. The pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, even the pauses, like you're their shadow.
Wow. Okay, so if the podcast says, what time is your meeting today? With emphasis on time.
You try to repeat it with that same emphasis. You're mimicking the sound pattern.
That sounds challenging, but I can see how it would help. Train your ear and your mouth at the same time.
Hugely powerful. It helps you internalize the natural flow of English in a way that just passive listening doesn't.
And the source suggested using YouTube clips or dramas too.
Yeah, short clips work great. More engaging maybe, and lots of variety.
Cool technique. Okay, tip 6. This one's about mindset, right?
Absolutely crucial. Tip 6, change your mindset about mistakes.
We've touched on this, but this tip dives deeper.
It does. It's about actively reframing errors, not seeing them as, oh no, I messed up, my English is terrible.
The more like,
okay, I made a mistake. What can I learn from it? This is part of getting better.
Right.
Seeing them as learning opportunities.
Shifting from negative self-talk to something more positive.
Precisely. The source contrasted my English is bad with I'm learning and I'm improving every day. That internal dialogue makes a huge difference to your confidence.
It really dictates how you feel about the whole process.
Totally. So the key elements are celebrating the small wins.
Acknowledging progress.
Accepting mistakes as normal. And just keeping up the consistent effort. Don't let errors stop you.
Right. It's about resilience, I guess. Okay, positive mindset. What's tip 7?
Tip 7 is about your environment. Surround yourself with English.
Immersion. Even if you're not living abroad.
Exactly. Creating your own little English bubble. The more familiar the language feels, the less intimidating it is.
So, practical ways to do that.
The podcast suggested easy things. Change your phone language to English.
Ooh, brave. But effective, I bet.
Watch English TV shows or movies. Use subtitles at first if you need to, that's fine.
Listen to English music or podcasts. Like this one, maybe.
Absolutely. Make it part of your daily routine. The constant exposure helps normalize the language, and familiarity breeds confidence.
Okay, immersion. Makes sense. And there was a bonus tip, too.
Yes, a final bonus tip. Set realistic goals.
This is important because I want to speak fluently is kind of vague.
Very vague and maybe overwhelming. The idea is to break that down into small, manageable steps.
So instead of fluency, maybe?
Maybe. This week, I will speak English for 3 minutes every day. Or, this week, I will learn and practice using 3 new question phrases.
Specific, measurable, achievable.
Exactly. time-bound, too. The source gave examples like, week 1, talk about your morning routine. Week 2, describe a favorite movie. Simple, concrete tasks.
And each time you hit one of those small goals.
It's a little win. It builds self-belief. You prove to yourself you can do it, and those small wins add up to big confidence over time.
That's a really empowering way to approach it. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of all those tips.
Sounds good.
Number 1 was start small, speak daily, even just to yourself.
2 was use mirror practice. Build awareness of how you look and sound.
3, learn useful phrases, not just isolated words. Get those conversational chunks ready.
4, find a speaking partner or language exchange. Real interaction is key.
5, use podcasts, shadowing, and repetition. Mimic native speakers.
6, change your mindset about mistakes. See them as learning tools.
7, surround yourself with English. Create that immersion.
And the bonus, number 8, set realistic goals. Break it down, track your wins.
Wow, that's a lot of actionable stuff. The big takeaway for me really is that confidence isn't something you wait for.
Not at all. It's something you build. Bravery, consistency, curiosity, those seem to be the real ingredients mentioned in our source, not perfection.
Yeah, be brave enough to try, be consistent enough to practice, be curious enough to learn from mistakes.
And the core message is just speak more. The more you speak, the more confident you become. It feeds itself.
It's a positive cycle.
Yeah.
So the call to action for everyone listening is pretty clear then.
Yeah. Pick one thing, just one of these tips.
And start today, even if it's just one sentence out loud in the mirror or finding one phrase to practice.
Absolutely. Don't wait. And maybe think about this.
Okay.
How could consistently doing even one of these things just for a few minutes a day really change how you feel about speaking English over the next few weeks or months?
That's a great question to ponder. What small step, what single action will you take today to start building that confidence?